Mr. Jacob's on the soundboard tonight, and this is going to be very interesting. I'm going to do everything I can, Jacob, to try to mess you up. This is my goal tonight, so just brace yourself, all right? He doesn't. Okay, everyone have a program tonight. Get a program if you don't have one. We're going to start off with a couple of things. So this is Friday night. It's 7 o'clock. SimpleSteps Addiction Recovery Program all across the country. There's chapters meeting at the exact same time. And I'm glad you're here tonight, especially as we're getting into December. December's a really hard time, especially dealing with addictions and strongholds. There's just so many things that are kind of hard to combat relationship-wise sometimes. A lot of triggers with our relationships this time of year. So tonight we're going to be speaking about anxiety in a few minutes. What we're going to do, though, tonight, we're going to start off with a video. We have 12 videos that we like to watch. They're the 12 Simple Step videos. Tonight we're going to watch number 10, and it's called Following God Will Help Me to Overcome My Addiction. So again, simple steps about dealing with our addiction, and sounds so basic, but if I follow God's plan, that'll just help me as opposed to going against God's plan. So a 10-minute video, let's watch it, and then I'll come back up, we'll do some announcements, and we'll get going tonight. All right, let's go.
Simple step number 10 tells us, following God will help me overcome my addiction. Sometimes we can feel trapped in our addiction, but I've got some good news for you today. God always has a way out when we're tempted to indulge in our addiction. In the society in which we live, we're surrounded with sinful temptations, and yet the Apostle Paul gives us some encouragement to Christians regarding how do we handle when we're tempted to indulge in our addiction. Here's what he wrote in 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 13. There hath no temptation taken you, but such is common to man. But God is faithful, who will not suffer, that is, not permit you to be tempted above that you are able, but will with that temptation also make a way to escape, that you may be able to bear it. I want you to notice three main things from this verse. Number one, wrong desires and temptations happen to everyone, so don't feel like you're being singled out. Second, others have resisted temptation, and so can you. And number three, any temptation can be resisted because God says he will help you to resist it. Now, God helps you to resist temptation by helping you mainly in four different ways. First of all, he helps you to recognize those people or situations that are going to give you some potential trouble. Those are the things you need to avoid. Number two, God helps you to resist temptation by helping you to literally run from anything that you know is wrong, that you know is setting you up for failure. Get out of that situation. Number three, God helps you to resist temptation by helping you choose to do only what is right. And then fourth, God helps you to resist temptation by providing you friends who love God and who can help you when you're being tempted. They're not going to help you to continue in your addiction. Now, through this program, you're being taught many great truths that if you will follow what God says in his word, he will help you overcome your addiction, where you can leave it in the past. Consider what Jesus said in John chapter 8, starting in verse 31. He wrote, "Then said Jesus to those Jews which believed on him, if you continue in my word, then you are my disciples indeed." The next verse, "And you shall know the truth, and the truth will make you free." Note, how do we follow God? Jesus said, by continuing in his word. What will the result be? He tells us, you shall know the truth, and the truth will make you free. God's truth is what makes us free, folks. God's truth is our way of escape. It's that simple. Now, notice what else Jesus said in John chapter 14, verse 21. He stated, "He that has my commandments and keepeth them, he it is that loveth me, And he that loveth me shall be loved of my Father, and I will love him and will manifest or reveal myself to him. I want to focus in on that word commandment. It's real important to understand that. Jesus used this word in this verse, commandment, which literally means authoritative prescription. Now, when you think of a prescription, I have here, and I'm holding in my hand, a prescription bottle that was prescribed for me. When I was sick, my doctor, I went to see him because I didn't want to keep being sick. I felt miserable, so I had to go see the doctor. I literally had a major toothache. And what was discovered is I had some inflammation going on, and as a result, I had an infection. So here's what he prescribed. He prescribed me an antibiotic. He told me that I needed to take those antibiotic pills, and after a period of time, I should be good to go. So let's say I go to the pharmacist, I pick up my prescription, so it's filled. I come home, and I take this bottle, and I set it on the kitchen table, and that's it. 1 week goes by. Man, my tooth is still killing me. A second week goes by. Man, it's getting worse. I can hardly even sleep. The third week, man, I can't take it anymore. And I'm thinking, man, what kind of a doctor is this? What, does this guy not figure me out right or something? So I make an appointment to go see him again. And I go to the doctor and I say to him, Doc, man, I'm feeling worse than when I came here 3 weeks ago. And he's like, man, that's kind of crazy. By now, you should be feeling 100%. Didn't you take the prescription? Well, no, I got it filled. He said, wait a minute. Didn't you follow the instructions on the label? It tells you you're to take that pill 3 times a day with food, and you're to continue until all the medication is gone. Oh, well, I didn't do that. Well, then how do you think you're going to get better? Go back home and follow the instructions, and you're going to see a difference. Now, isn't it interesting that Jesus said, he that keeps my prescription, my commandments? This is a person who does what God says. Now, he's called the great physician in the scriptures, and he wants to heal us. He wants to heal us spiritually. He wants to free us as well. He tells us that if we will follow what he says, then what will happen? We will be made free. If you continue in it, though, you have to do what he says if you're going to experience what God wants to do in your life. So if you're willing to follow God, there's great hope. Now, let me show you as well from the Bible how following God will help me and you to overcome our addictions. Look at Ephesians chapter 4, starting in verse 22. There's 3 things that we're instructed here to do, to be proactive. And if we follow this, we will overcome our addiction. Here's what we're told: that you put off concerning your former conversation. That word conversation means your old way of life. So it says, put off your old way of life, the old man, which is corrupt according to deceitful lust. Second thing, verse 23, and be renewed in the spirit of your mind. That is, change your thinking. Start exposing yourself to the truth of God's word so it will affect how you think. And that you put on the new man, which after God is created in righteousness and true holiness. So you put off your old manner of life, change the way you think, and put on this new manner of life, this new way to live as given to us in Scripture. Now, Paul, the apostle who God used to write these words, then gives us a couple of examples. So I want to point one out, first of all, in verse 25. The first thing he tells us to put off is, wherefore, putting away lying. Would you agree it's wrong to lie? We may find it's okay if we lie, but we don't like it when people lie to us, do we? God says, stop lying. But does he leave it there? No. He tells us we need to replace it with something else. What does he say? Speak every man truth with his neighbor. So in other words, instead of being a liar, you say, I'm going to stop doing that. I'm going to replace it by being a truth teller. Another example is found in verse 28. Let him that stole steal no more. But does it end there? No. What do you replace it with? Here we go. but rather let him labor, working with his hands the thing which is good, that he may have to give to them that need it. In other words, instead of being a taker, now you're a giver. Instead of being dishonest and deceptive, you're going and earning an honest living, and then you're able to give to people. I promise you that person will stop being a thief. This is the examples that there are many more in Scripture, but the fact of the matter is this is God's way of escape. Again, 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 13 tells us, there hath no temptation taken you, but such is common to man. But God is faithful, who will not suffer you to be tempted above that which you are able, but will with the temptation also make a way to escape, that you may be able to bear it. That's simple step number 10. Following God will help me to overcome my addiction.
On the bottle, so to speak. So anyone here ever have like a really bad toothache, like what Jim was talking about, that you had to get medicine? You had one, Todd? A really bad one? Yeah? Was it bad? Did they pull the tooth out? Or what? What? Pulled your face off? Oh, seriously? All right, so that's what happened. Just kidding. Set you up for that one. Okay, listen. Inside your program is a couple things. First off, inside here on the right side, you see that? We're going to talk about that tonight. We're talking about anxiety. This obviously is a faith-based addiction recovery program. We really do believe that God has a plan for your life. God has a prescription of how to get your life clean, how to stay clean, how to keep from going back. So this program, different than, let's say, non-faith-based programs, is not about you trying harder to do better, or you pulling up your bootstraps and just, going to make it, fake it till you make it. It's about really changing who you are, changing your mind, changing your thought life, changing your heart to actually change those desires. So we're going to talk about that tonight. Inside your program also is this card. Those of you that have been here before, you know what this is for. This is just a way for you to kind of keep track of how you did this week. So we'll break up in a few minutes into our small groups, and you could bring that in your small group, and your group leader kind of show them what you did, and kind of gives you an idea of how you're doing in the program. And then also this card right here is a prayer card, and this is really important. We really do believe in prayer, and even if you say, well, I don't believe in prayer, or I don't even believe there's a God, well, that's fine. You don't have to believe that. But there is a God, and he does care for you, and he really does answer prayer. And God tells us in the Bible, he says, I want you to boldly come to me and tell me your problems. And he tells us over and over and over, talk to me, tell me your problems, tell me your problems, tell me your problems, don't hide them, tell me. So I just like it to know that when people are praying for me, I think it's a good thing. I want people to pray for me. I want you to put your name on your card. I want you to put a prayer request, something real. Don't, pray that I win $1 million. Okay, that's not why we're here tonight. But maybe you have a really bad relationship issue. Maybe you got a problem with the law, and you need to write that on there. Hey, I got a court case coming up. My PO, said this or whatever. Or what a financial thing. I really need to get a job. My car is broken. Something. Put it on there, and then give that to your group leader, and then let them pray with you. Okay, it's not weird. It's not hokey. It's real. And if you don't pray about it, you'll never know if God answered it or not. So just do that tonight. I think it's just so important that we do that. We put a big emphasis on prayer tonight. One of the things we're going to do before we get into our small group is our group talk. Is I want to hear some testimonies tonight. So a testimony really, ultimately, is an answered prayer. Something good that God's done for you. This is not our time to talk about how bad we are and how we screwed up this week. We know that. This is a time to think about something good that God did for me. What's something good that God did? And then I want you to share it tonight. So if you want to. So we got a microphone. Mr. Mark over here is the guy that always has a microphone. And if you've got something good that God's done for you this week, why don't you raise your hand, and he'll hand the microphone to you. Take 60 seconds and just tell us about it. And that just kind of gets our night off to a good start. I hate, those programs that start off with everyone talking about how bad they are. What a depressing thing. so who's got something good that God's done for him this week? You just want to start us off. Mark, okay, go ahead, Mark.
Well, I'm just thankful.
Yep.
Okay. I'm just thankful that without this program, I would have not met Roy. And it's just amazing to get to know Roy and his just the way he affected all of us, and just we love him and we miss him, and we just praise God that he's not suffering anymore. But it's just amazing that God brought me to church, and when I was on the cleaning crew, had a lot of fun working with Roy, and it was just a great time. So we miss him and we love him, and just keep praying for his family. So that's all I got.
Yeah, I'm really glad you're here too, Mark. That's great. Thank you, Mark, for sharing that tonight. I appreciate that. It's good to have Mark here tonight. Quick update on Roy. We all know who our good friend Roy is, who's attending this program for many years. Finally succumbed to cancer this week. Passed away on Wednesday, I believe it was, Wednesday around noon. The funeral will be here at this church 28th of December. So didn't want to have it the next 2 weeks because of Christmas. Just push it off a little bit. So 28th of December, you're all invited to that. I think there's a meal afterwards. Let's just take a break and let's talk about Roy for a second. So help me, because I don't remember. Roy had been clean for how many years? Does anyone remember? I want to say was it 21, 20-something? I mean, he was 81 when he died. So I want to say he was 62. Tim, does that sound right, when he first understood that Jesus died on the cross and paid his sins? So 62, 72, 82. So it'd be 19 years. So maybe something like that. Does anyone think it's different than 20? All the years he raised his hand and told us, you weren't paying attention. Dave? 20? Okay, very good. So did someone tell me this too about Roy? How many years had he been an alcoholic? I mean, if he stopped drinking when he was 62, I mean, wasn't it when he was in high school or something? Because I keep wanting to say he said like 40 or 50 something years. Were you guys not paying attention when he gave us this? All those times he told us. It was a long time. I mean, he had been drinking, I'm sure, so if he was 62 when he stopped, probably 45 years or something like that. Yeah, because I'm sure it was high school. Yeah, boy. And he was telling, someone here was telling me about them talking to him, and he was just talking about, kind of giving him, this last week, he was telling about his story of his life. Roy had, I can say it now that he's passed away, Roy had a very, very crazy life. It was not good. Just bouncing around, person to person, spouse to spouse, job to job, town to town. I mean, he was a mess. He was a prolific golfer, and he was really good at golf, and that was kind of like his god. And golfing, the friendships and stuff, that brought along a lot of drinking, right? So, but boy, when he was telling his story, and people were telling me, I was like, man, I didn't realize he had such a crazy life. Done so many crazy, dumb things, and hurt a lot of people and stuff. So, boy, he just changed around. And he was coming to this program, I'd say 15 years, 14 and a half, 15 years he's been here at this program. And let me do this. Raise your hand if Roy Burke helped you at this program somehow. He helped you? Yeah. All of us, myself included, were encouraged, even just probably 2 weeks ago, seeing him sitting back there. He's getting ready to go into hospice, dying of cancer, and he's got to show up at the Friday night group, So, man alive, the rest of us, right, me too, I get a sniffle, and it's I'm going to stay home. And this guy's showing up in his pajamas, so that's really good. So, really good. Thank you, Mark, for starting that off. Okay, someone else, something good God's done for you this week that you want to share this evening. We got a few minutes. I know God's done something good for a bunch of you. So, Polly Sue, go ahead.
Not to keep talking about Roy, but I just...
And you can.
I'm just blessed because, we had terrible news Wednesday morning, and then I was able to come Wednesday night to the foster party and help out. And, of course, Roy would have been there.
Oh, yeah.
Just how much he loved kids and how much they all love him. It was just kind of bittersweet to be able to be part of that that day, knowing that that was something really important to Roy. So I'm blessed to be able to serve here at whatever needs to be done.
Yeah, very good. Polly Sue, thank you so much. That's really good. Boy, I appreciate you doing that. And in case you don't know, Wednesday night we had a foster family Christmas party, and this room was full. From that wall to that wall, it was full. There was, I don't know how many kids were here. There was a lot of kids here. I don't know, 50 kids or something, probably, plus all the parents. I mean, I think it was a couple hundred that were registered to be here, probably more than 50 kids. And, a lot of those kids are special needs, and they've got special needs, and those parents are giving and giving and giving. And listen, I'm proud of all of you that showed up to give a hug and to be with those special need kids. It just kind of goes with the territory, it seems, in foster care. Not always, but a lot of times. And you sat with the kids, and you hugged the kids, and you held the crying babies for mom and dad and grandma and grandpa, and you showed your love. I mean, it's one thing to say, to talk about it. Well, Christmas time, I want to help people. It's another thing to show up on a Wednesday night and sit with some screaming kids, But those parents absolutely, positively loved it. A couple of those families I'd seen before. They'd been here. And they're like, you know what? This is that one lady, I don't know her name was, long blonde hair. She said, this is the highlight of our family every year, coming to this event. It's like, really? She's like, yeah, because these are the Christmas presents we have for Christmas. I mean, that's just so cool. I mean, to think that coming to church is the highlight of a family, that's just amazing. So I was really privileged to be part of it too, and thank you all, those of you that were able to be here. You made a big difference, and you put some shoe leather on your recovery, okay? You could talk about it, but you did something. So I think that's just really, really, really cool. Let me ask those of you that were here, did you see those two twin babies? The two, of course it's two, that was a dumb thing. Did you see the twins? Were they like a week old, a month old, and they're preemies? Yeah, they literally were like this big, just adorable, cute little kiddos. You didn't are they real? They're just so small. So thank you to all of you that just helped the mom and dad and take care of them. So it's a big thing. Thanks for helping out foster. And then we had the family here, part of my family, that had foster parented, and then they turned it into adoption. And she was here, so she was so cute. I thought that was really cute. Did you notice when they had the book? Wasn't that a cool book that they were doing? It was like 5 feet tall, and Zari, who is whatever she is to me, my great niece, was turning the pages. They're so big, she had to carry them. It was just really cute. So I thought that was fun. All right, someone else, something good that God's done for you this week. You want to share? Susie's got her hand up. Susie, go ahead.
I'd like to thank Amy because Amy Rehoff asked the art classes to make cards for Roy at last art class, and then Kim put them up. So Roy's wall in front of him was just covered with the kids' art and cards. It was just beautiful.
Yeah, it was really good. Thanks for helping out on that.
And I want to thank you all, Dayspring, for making it so easy to share the gospel. You have so many beautiful tracts, and handing out the luminary cards is like giving out free candy. Today I was saying, did you get a Merry Christmas card? Oh, no, I didn't. And they just take them and smile and say thank you. And so thanks, Dayspring.
Yeah, very good. Susie, good to have you tonight. We're glad you're here. That's good. I appreciate doing that. That's wonderful. Yep, it's fun to hand out Christmas stuff. Don't forget, so what she's talking about is this, so I guess it's tomorrow, this weekend, tomorrow night, Sunday night, is the first 2 nights of what we call our Christmas luminary hike. And we do it 2 weekends. And we got 36 acres here. It's about a mile hike. And on the hike, they meet the characters of the Christmas story. So they meet the wise men, they meet Mary and Joseph, and they tell their story. And it's really, really fun to do it. So you get outside, get a little exercise, and it's all lit by candles, a couple thousand candles, buckets, the luminaries across the trail. And you get to hike it, and then you meet the Christmas characters, and then they hear about Jesus. And it's a fun night. If you haven't gone, I want you to go to it. If you want to help, they always use help doing it. It's really cool. I'm hoping that my assignment tomorrow is outside by the hot chocolate trailer. That's kind of what I'm hoping my job is tomorrow. Someone else, something good God's done for you. Amy, did you have your hand up? So Amy up here, and then Tabby's got her hand up over there. Okay, we'll go quick, Aim.
I'm just really thankful that the Lord answers prayers, and we all have been praying for Roy for months, if not years, just for his health and things, and how God just very much worked out the details to bring him home peacefully, the timing of it with his family nearby, or with him or nearby, and just really God cares about the details, and when we pray, he answers our prayers. So grateful for that. Very grateful for the luminary hike coming up. I talked to somebody on the phone today, and they said this is their family tradition. So,
Oh, good.
So yeah, they had a question about something, but just very much looking forward to coming, and so that's exciting to hear that, and that they're bringing people out for it. And just again, the foster party, just those people who do foster care are so sacrificial in their giving towards a little baby. I'm just talking about one of the families who took in a safe haven baby, and literally got a phone call, and the next day that baby is in their home, and they're adopting that child. I think this week they adopted that child, and just the love that takes, the unconditional love that takes, and just how God gives people that. So very encouraged by all that this week.
Yeah, very good. Amy, good to have you tonight. Very good. And talking about Roy, I think is kind of the highlight of our night tonight. Who else? Tabby? Okay, Tabby will be our last one for right now. And it'll be good. Then we'll get into a small group or our talk, and then we'll break into our groups. Go ahead, Tabby.
I'm just really thankful for the program. I was looking through old pictures because of Roy, and I was just looking at all the different, coming up on the holiday seasons, the different New Year's parties and the Christmas get-togethers that we've all been at, a lot of us, through this program over the years, just to kind of keep us in a safe place, to keep us out of trouble. And coming up, there's a few family parties this month that I was like, oh, really not wanting to go to, and they're on Friday nights. So I'm like, well, I have my SimpleSteps, and it's just really, I think it's the Lord providing a way, I want to say a way of escape, but just a way to keep myself out of trouble, either from getting into family arguments or just, do you know what I mean, just keeping me in a place that's spiritually better. So just, through looking at those old pictures and just seeing how God's blessed relationships and friendships through this program, I'm really thankful because truly I've been coming for probably, over 10 years now to the program. So God's truly faithful. When you're faithful in the program and you're growing, like he really will use SimpleSteps in your life. So I am very grateful for the program and just all the people here. So it really is a blessing to be a part of SimpleSteps.
Yeah, good. Tabby, thank you very much. Good to have Tabby tonight, too. Wonderful. Very good. Okay, take your program, if you would, please. Let's have our group talk now. Inside the program on your right-hand side, place for you to take some notes. I encourage you to do that. Take some notes. We are going to talk tonight and this whole month about anxiety. And I think it's a really important thing. Tabby, what you just talked about, you hit the nail on the head. Let me ask this question. With Christmas coming up and New Year's, we won't skip New Year's, but Christmas coming up and New Year's. Raise your hand, be honest. Raise your hand if getting together with some family members, raise your hand if getting together with some family members is going to cause you anxiety this holiday season. Yeah, for sure. Amy, why is your hand up? Are you concerned about being with me or something? Or no, because it's real. It's just sometimes, it's weird, and sometimes it causes anxiety, especially with the election just happening. Half your family voted red, the other half voted blue, and there's that, and then, heaven forbid you bring up, your addiction, because that's just a whole nother argument. And so it really becomes a big deal. So we've talked a lot about anxiety. If you go to our webpage and you look back at some of the past programs and Sunday mornings, I've done some series even this past spring on anxiety, and we cover it a lot, and we talk about it from all different angles, but it's a really big deal, and it's a really big problem. I looked up some stats that I want to share with you, and they're on Google, so if they're Google, they got to be accurate, right? I'm sure they're 100% true. When you do Google nowadays, when you do a question, like the first response isn't like an AI-generated response for artificial intelligence. I think that's kind of cool because it kind of puts it doesn't always make sense, but it kind of tries to make it make sense. But I was thinking, what's like the opposite of if it's not artificial intelligence, what is it? I don't know. Artificial intelligence, so there'd be like natural stupidity or something. I don't know. What's the difference of that? I don't know. Anyways, anxiety. Look at these stats. 60% of individuals suffer with anxiety and depression. And again, that's probably not clinically, but it's probably even higher than that. I think different times. But there's some people that just struggle with anxiety a lot, you know. Anxiety is 2 times more common than depression. And I'd agree with that. I think it just is. And we're going to talk about anxiety is different than depression. And the reason we're talking about anxiety, just before we dig into it, is anxiety is a huge, or as our president-to-be would say, a huge reason to trigger, or huge trigger for our addiction, right? We get anxious, we get worried about stuff, we get nervous, and we can't deal with it, so we escape. So it's a big deal. Look at this one. Anxiety and depression are 2 times more likely in females. Huh. What do you guys think? Guys, do you think that's true? Girls, do you think that's true? Ladies, do you think the ladies are 2 times more likely to have anxiety than guys? I don't know. You're more likely to talk about it. Okay. Like the guys go hunting. Okay. Anxiety typically manifests first, followed by depression. And I would definitely agree with that one. Most people don't just jump into depression first. It's usually, from my experience in counseling the last 38 years as a faith-based addiction recovery coach and a counselor, before depression, they were dealing with anxiety. So anxiety, a simple description of anxiety, again, we're not going to get deep, is restlessness, irritability, difficulty concentrating, uncontrollable feelings of worry. So that's just a real simple definition of what anxiety looks like. You're restless about stuff. You're just irritable about the situation at work. You can't even think because you're so, you're anxious about talking to your boss tomorrow because you just don't know if he's going to fire you or not. Uncontrolled feelings of worry. I just can't stop worrying about this. It's just in my mind. It's like a record that's got a skip on it, and it just keeps going and going and going. It's like, stop. Okay, that's anxiety. Depression, and again, simple definitions. Depression is more of sadnessness and really hopelessness. I'm really sad about this. It's not that I'm worried about my boss. It's just I'm just really sad about it, and sad about being worried about it, sad about the situation, and I just feel hopeless, like I just can't get away from it, like I'm stuck. So that's maybe a little bit, just to kind of clarify, when we say depression or anxiety, that's kind of what we're kind of looking like. Suicide rates, 2 times more likely with anxiety. Yeah, I'd go with you on that one. 2 times more likely with people that struggle with anxiety. 26 times more likely with people that have depression. Suicide is, yeah. And then 54 times more likely with anxiety and depression. So again, suicide rates are all-time high when you come into the Christmas holidays. Isn't that weird? Don't you think if all the movies were right, if Hallmark was right, if every Hallmark movie was right, this should be the most wonderful time of the year. And people get back together, and you fall in love, and you make money, and you get the job, and everything's great. You get all the presents you want. But that's not the way it is, right? Because it's just a movie. So depression, anxiety is really a big deal now. Suicide is a really big problem. Alcoholism is through the roof this time of year. It just is. Here in Wisconsin, it's even just more socially acceptable, I just believe, than anywhere else I've ever lived. So there's a lot of things we can talk about anxiety. I want you to take a couple notes, I think in the sheet. Yeah, we got a couple notes here. I want you to take it down. So let's just talk about anxiety. So number 1, I want you to write this down, and that's this. When you talk about anxiety, you have to understand it, okay? Understand it, all right? And these are really good. If you write this down, you can put this in your glove box, you can bring it to work, take a photo of it, have it on your phone, and it kind of gives you something to think about this coming week. Anxiety that is not checked or is not evaluated, is not realized on your own, oftentimes lead to depression. If you let anxiety hang around long enough, it'll put you really into a serious funk. It's hard to get out of. Anxiety is usually caused by your subconscious mind hanging on to something. Something that maybe someone else said something, or someone else did something, or something you said, or something you did. And sometimes those thoughts hang around because your mind is trying to create a solution. And just like the broken record, it just can't get the solution. And so the record skips and it plays it again. And it plays it again. I can't resolve this. I'm meeting with my boss tomorrow. He wants to have a conference. I don't know if it's good, or is he giving me a Christmas, bonus, or is he letting me go? I can't resolve that. I can't get the answer. So I'm anxious because it just keeps playing. Is this good? Am I getting a bonus tomorrow? Or is he kicking me in the pants and I'm out of here tomorrow? So your mind is just trying to figure out a solution, and it can't get through that. It can't figure it out. So if you're going to learn to beat anxiety, I think you have to understand it and you have to know where it's coming from. And what I mean by that is this: you don't have to go to college and get a psych degree. You don't have to spend hours studying this. I think it literally can be this simple. Number one is you kind of have to think about this and write this down. Well, what's the root? Where is this coming from? Why am I anxious? I've got anxiety. Why? You have to ask yourself that question. So when I talk about understanding it, it's you. You understand. Why am I anxious? Well, I'm anxious because I'm talking to my boss tomorrow. He sent me a text and said, I need to meet with you tomorrow. Oh, okay. That's it. I mean, is it literally that simple? So what's the root? And then number two, is it something that I did? Yeah, I was a bad employee. I messed up. Larry, what did I do? I was at work and I was a bad employee. I drove the fork truck off the loading dock and I flipped it over, right? So I'm a little nervous. Do you think I'm going to get fired, Larry, if I did that? Oh, you're no help. Is it something someone else did? So I happened to be standing there when my friend drove the fork truck off the loading dock, and my boss wants to talk to me. Okay. Is it something I can control? I'm anxious. Is it something I can control? Well, yeah, I can control this. I could tell the boss, no, I'm not coming to meet with you tomorrow. You could say that. Is it something, as opposed to the doctor gave you a report that you have bunions and you need to have surgery. Well, you can't control that. There's nothing you can do about it. You're just going to have to go and have the surgery. All right? I can't control this. Okay, well, but it's different if I was messing up at work. Okay, so you have to know where it's coming from. You have to actually think in my brain, what is this? Why is this causing anxiety? Number two, and again, the purpose of this whole study tonight is just to be really super practical for the holidays. This is not deep. Number two, don't pile on. Don't pile on. When anxiety sets in, the easiest thing to do is to kind of broaden your focus and start to include every other problem that could possibly arise. For instance, you find yourself anxious about losing your job because there's been layoffs in the company and they're talking about laying people off. So you're so nervous about getting laid off at work that what do? Well, us guys, we go to Cabela's and we spend a whole bunch of money on hunting and fishing gear. Time out. Did that help the problem? What did I just do? I just piled a whole bunch more problems on me, because why? If I do lose my job tomorrow, how am I going to pay for all this junk I just bought? See how I'm piling on. I'm not doing any better. This isn't helping in any way. This is not taking care of the problem. I'm piling on. You go on a shopping spree, and you get more in debt, and you're still going to lose your job. You're bothered about your health. You're bothered about, you looked at the Christmas photos, and you're like, man, I got to get in shape. And so you get so worked up about it, man, I got to lose 10 pounds by Christmas, so what do? Said, I'm going to Culver's, and I'm having another scoop of ice cream. You're piling on. You're not helping yourself. You're piling on. It's really easy when you have anxiety to start piling on. Instead of it having one thing you're dealing with, you piled on, and now you have all these things that completely overwhelm you. And again, I'm kind of making fun of it. I'm having simple conversation about it. Sometimes anxiety can be very serious. It could be relationship issues, Could be serious health issues, right, that are really serious. Well, regardless how serious or how deep it is, you just simmer down a little bit. Just take a deep breath. Don't pile on. Just hold on. Most of the things in the pile that you keep piling on mentally don't ever actually happen. It's easy for our brain to just start making it worse, isn't it? And not only tomorrow am I going to lose my job, but then my wife's going to be mad at me and she's going to leave me because I lost my job, and then I'm going to lose a car, and then I'm probably going to get cancer because I was worrying about this all day, and then my roof is going to leak on the house, and then it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse, and it's all happening up here. Did you ever hear this quote by Mark Twain? Mark Twain said this, "I have been through some terrible things in my life, some of which actually happened." All the terrible things in Mark Twain's life happened where? Right here in his brain. How many of you, raise your hand if you can kind of relate to that? Boy, I've been through some terrible things. Yeah, some of them actually did happen. But man, haven't we done that though? We pile on and we just make it gets worse and worse and worse. John chapter 16, verse 33, these things, this is in the Bible, these things have I spoken unto you, that in me you might have peace. Now, why does he say that? Well, because look at the next sentence. In the world, you're not going to have peace. You're going to have tribulation, okay? What's out there is not going to help you. But God says, with me, I'm the only one that's really, truly going to be able to give you an inner peace. Not getting more money, not passing a new law, not getting out of jail, but from me, I can teach you, you can learn to have inner peace. Why? Look at the very last phrase, because I have overcome the world. Psalms chapter 55, verse 22. Cast thy burden upon the Lord, and he will take off and leave you and ditch you. Is that what it says? No. Give your burden to God. God, I am struggling. I am so worried about tomorrow and meeting with my boss. And he'll sustain me. He'll never suffer the righteous to be moved, okay? God says, listen, I'm going to be there for you. Bring your burden and bring it to me, all right? Very important. Let's take a look at the next one, number 3. Remember, God is doing something. The easiest thing to forget in the middle of being anxious episode is that God is doing something. He's doing something in you. He's doing something through you. God never does something through you without doing something in you. It's just part of the gig. It's just kind of the way it is, the way God works. I'm going to I'm going to be doing something, and I'm going to do it through you, and I'm not going to be doing it without you. Okay, I'm going to work through you. I'm going to change something in you. I'm allowing you to have that conversation with your boss tomorrow and maybe get fired, okay, because of the forklift incident. Okay, you might get fired. But the reason I'm doing that is because I'm trying to teach you to grow up and be a man or woman that you need to be. And you're going to learn a really hard lesson tomorrow with your boss because I'm trying to work through you. I'm trying to teach you something, okay? So God just doesn't say, oh, yeah, well, whatever. No, this is okay. It's going to happen. It's something you're going to learn. It's part of the gig. It's the way I work. I'm going to allow something to happen, but I'm going to work through you on this one. Number 4. And I'm going to read this, and don't think I've gone weird on this or crazy, because listen to what I'm going to say. But here's how I wrote it. Don't resort to prayer, okay? Don't resort to prayer. So think about it this way. It's like God saying, why do you resort to prayer when you should be starting with prayer? So prayer is not the last resort. Don't find yourself looking to pray tomorrow after you get fired for driving the forklift off the loading dock. I'm not going to say it's too late. It's never too late, but that you're missing it. You need to be praying beforehand. How about you should have been praying this morning when you went to work, dear God, help me not to be a jerk when I go to work and do something stupid with the forklift, So don't resort to prayer. Start with prayer. Prayer is not the least thing you can do. It's the most that you can do, all right? Prayer is very important. Don't wait to pray when you're in jail. Again, I'm not saying it's too late, but no. You need to be praying, on Thursday. You don't get yourself in trouble on Friday. And on Friday, you don't get yourself in trouble on Saturday. On Saturday, that you don't get in trouble all weekend, and you get back to work on Monday. Okay, number 5. Put good stuff in. We'll spend a minute on this one. The enemy won't be shy about the amount of crap that he's going to fill your ear with. That's literally what I wrote down. When you lie down and when you wake up, fill your mind with truth to combat demonic forces and just combat what the angels of hell are trying to put in your brain. It's never been easier to fill your mind with God's word and the teaching of different preachers and different churches. Your phone that you've got in your pocket, it can give you access to a whole world of good messages and good sermons and good topics and good podcasts and good audiobooks, good YouTube videos. You can make sure that for every lie that you've heard, every lie that the enemy hands you, there is some solid truth that you can battle in it, okay? I'm a big believer that you get out of your head what you put into it. Social media, boy, I tell you what, social media, I mean, I use it for work because I kind of have to, but I don't know. Is it good or is it bad? I think how many of you think social media, just be honest, social media has caused more problems for us that struggle with addictions? Okay. How many of you believe social media has done more good for people that struggle? I just don't think so. I think, there is good stuff, don't get me wrong. There's something good there. I think the anxiety, maybe that's the way I should have phrased it. Has social media helped anxiety? I don't think so. Because we look at it and we see at one moment, a second, one moment of our neighbors and how they look. And our neighbors always look so good. And our relatives, they always pose. I look at my family, actually my wife's family, when they post stuff on Facebook. Man, they just always look so good. It's just they're always dressed right. It's just like, what in the world? Like, is it the angle? I don't know what your family does, but it's just every picture's perfect. And then Amy and I take a picture, and it's like, oh, my goodness. Like, what? Do we not know how to dress? I mean, what is the deal? Like, I got something in my teeth or what? It's like we always look like our photos like we just got out of bed. It's just like, what are these pictures? Why are they so bad? Well, Facebook can do that. Social media, jealousy, frustration. You watch those video shorts, and they never resolve, and so you're never satisfied. But think about it. If you went to Quick Trip and you got a box of donuts, and you ate donuts all day, how would you feel at the end of the day? I'd feel really great. No, you'd feel gross. Would you feel gross? Raise your hand if you feel gross eating a whole box of Quick Trip donut. I think one Quick Trip donut is kind of gross. If you put donuts in your brain all day, why do you think you feel so stupid at nighttime? Why do you think you feel so cruddy at nighttime? You've been ingesting junk all day through those two things right there. Or how about here? Be honest, what are we listening to all day? What's going in here? Is it donuts? I mean, is it just junk? And then at the end of the day, it's like, well, man, why do I feel so restless? Why do I feel so anxious? Why do I just feel terrible? Well, because you've just been putting junk in all day, as opposed to eating good or listening to something good or watching something good. Listen, guys, we have got to put good stuff in our brain, okay? Let me tell you this, and I don't say this by any means. I'm not bragging. I'm just telling you a discipline that I have. How many of you use Spotify? Do you use Spotify? How many of you use Pandora? How many of you have no idea what I'm talking about? Okay. On my playlists for Spotify, I really enjoy music. I love music. We have a lot of good music at this church. It's wonderful. But like if I'm going, if let's say I'm going to work out or I'm going for a bike ride or Amy and I are going kayaking or we're going hiking, we love to do a lot of hiking. You know what's on my playlist? I'd say it's 75% preaching. It really is, yeah. Or like a good educational audiobook, something like that. Maybe 10 or 15%, maybe a little bit more of music, good music, not junk music, but good music. And then maybe 1 or 2% of some podcast or something, maybe with the news or something. You better make sure you have good music on your playlist. I really believe, guys, listen. I really believe anxiety is not helped by bad playlists. Okay, by music that's just getting you irritated, it's getting you riled up. I just don't know how you don't have anxiety, after listening to whatever, the Grateful Dead all day. I don't know. Tabby's laughing because I always say the Grateful Dead. It's like the only group I know. It's Grateful Dead and like Def Leppard. That's all. That's it. And the Beach Boys. That's the only secular ones I know. But I just don't see how my day is going to be good at the end of the day if I'm just listening to that, okay? Todd, stop laughing at me. But you know what I'm talking about. You get it, right? It's just not going to be a good thing. It's just not good. I just don't know how it can be good. If you're listening to songs that are talking about like leaving your wife, you're listening to how about this? You're listening to songs, guys, that are demoralizing about women and talking about their bodies and how they shake them, and you know where I'm going, right? I just don't know how. I'm just being honest. As a counselor, I do this for a living. I've been doing this 38 years. I just don't know how you come home at the end of the day after listening to that junk and feel like you're not anxious or have your brain on the right track and not want to go act out. I'm just being totally blunt with you. how can you not? It's basically, and that's not even talking about like the X stuff or the really bad stuff. That's just talking about using drugs and getting away and escape. It's just, how can you hear that all day? What do you think you're gonna do? I mean, what? It just listen. There's plenty of good stuff to listen to. Find good stuff. All right, it's not that hard. Okay, when you're down, number 6. When you're down, clean something. I don't know why I wrote that down. When you're down, clean something. Author John Maxwell used to say this. He said, when life gets you down, you might as well clean something when you're down there. I get it. So anxiety doesn't always last forever, depression. But if you got something, you're down about something, clean it up while you're down there. Man, I'm really down because I'm going to get fired tomorrow at work. Okay, guess what? Clean it up while you're down there. You know what? My next job, I'm not going to be the guy that jerks and messes around with the fork truck over there by the loading dock. Okay? I'm done being an idiot with the fork truck. Okay, I'm going to be a good employee. So when you're down, while you're down there, clean something up. Okay? Don't waste that moment. Figure out something good that needs to be done. Change something. Change your friends. Change your music. Change your television. Change your internet. Change your food. Let's talk about food. Number 7, get healthy. What you're eating, back to the donuts, can contribute to anxiety. Do you ever think about that? Food is a big part of that, a big part of, I think, just our society. We eat junk. We feel like junk. We've already talked about that. People that feel like junk don't change the world. Okay? If you're always feeling like junk, you're not going to change your life. Okay? You're just not. You can't feel like junk and make a difference. You just can't. It's impossible because you're so consumed with feeling like junk. Think about what you eat. You have to do that. And the older we get, you got to really pay attention to that. Just why am I eating another box of donuts or brownies or whatever? Just stop. Number 8, exercise. Oh boy, this one, we all hate this one. If you deal with anxiety in any form and you don't exercise, you're really kind of being careless. It's good to at least go for a walk, just something to get your brain off what you're dealing with. But it's even better if you can do something to just make yourself sweat. Wear yourself out and then see how you feel. Go on the treadmill and just burn yourself out till you can't stand up anymore, and then see how the anxiety is. Get out on your bike and just bike really hard up a couple hills and pretty much have a coronary, and then see how your anxiety is. I was talking to Jake about Jake, where are you? Are you still here, Jake? I was talking to Jake about his exercise, and said, Jake, what do you do for exercise? And Jake tells me this. He says, listen, Pastor, he goes, I get a lot of exercise at work. I said, you get a lot of exercise at work because he works for me. I said, I didn't know you were working out while I'm paying you. He goes, oh, yeah. He goes, I get a lot of exercise at work. I said, number 1, I said, what do you do? He goes, well, number 1, he goes, I like to jump to conclusions. And then I like to push my luck, and I like to dodge deadlines. And I said, well, there you go. That's how he gets his exercise. I got you. All right, good talk on anxiety. Let's have a word of prayer, and then we're going to get some announcements, and we're going to get out of here, okay? Father in heaven, it's good that we're here tonight, and we talk about anxiety. Lord, what's most important, though, tonight is for us to pause for just a second. Because I don't know everyone in this room. I know, Father, some people I just don't know. But do we know for certain where we're going when we die? Have we ever thought about our eternity? The most important question that we can ask as an addict, someone that's struggling, is, okay, yeah, I'm here now, but what about when I die? Our good friend Roy passed away this week. It's real. We're all going to die someday. Lord, but we know that you said in the Bible that Jesus Christ came to earth, story of Christmas, and died on the cross, was buried, and rose again. And the fact that he died, he paid the debt for us. He paid for the bad things we've done. And your Bible, God, your Bible, your book, the only book you wrote, says God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believes in him should not perish but has everlasting life. It doesn't say whosoever gets clean, whosoever stops smoking, whosoever stops snorting. It doesn't say that. It says whosoever believes in him. Whosoever believes that Jesus Christ is the Messiah, is the Savior of the world, that he died and paid my sins on the cross of Calvary, shall not perish but has everlasting life. You gave us a promise, Lord. If we'd simply trust in the fact, believe in the fact, depend upon the fact that when Jesus Christ died on the cross, was buried, and rose again, that he died and was buried and rose again for me. He paid my mortgage for me, and I don't have to. I pray, Father, if there's someone here tonight that just doesn't know that tonight they'd put their trust in you. They don't know everything, but they know this. Jesus died for me, and I accept it. He paid my mortgage, and I don't have to pay it because he did it. Lord, I pray that you'd help us this Christmas season with anxiety. Help us to face it and to realize we got it and then to deal with it. I gave some real practical stuff tonight. I hope we write it down. I hope we do it. In your name we pray. Amen. Okay, well, we had a good study tonight talking about anxiety. That was kind of fun. Some good laughs. Jake, thanks for letting me make fun of you. Is there any awards tonight we need to hand out tonight? Any group leaders have any awards that need to be done? No? Okay, couple of quick announcements. Tomorrow night is the big luminary hike. If you want to help, you can get here early and help. We'd love to have you help. If you want to just go through it, show up and go through the hike. It's cool. Bring your family, bring your neighbors. Sunday morning, we're here at 10. Is Jeremiah in here? Jeremiah, do you know what Jeremiah's talking on, Jake? Do you know? Jeremiah's got a group study for all of us Sunday morning at 10 in this room. Oh, talking about the meaning of some Christmas carols. So it's kind of fun. It's kind of a good thing. Just a good thing to get together. And all the people in this room, I want you here Sunday morning at 10. What's the big deal about talking about Christmas carols? Well, it is a big deal. And there's some really good truths in them that help someone struggling with an addiction. And then at 11 o'clock, we have our main worship service, our main church service right here in this room. I'm also talking about Christmas at that time at 11 o'clock. Someone had asked me some questions about Christmas that I never thought about. And I'm going to talk about them Sunday. Just open the Bible and just see what the Bible says about it. So I thought it's kind of interesting. So it'll be fun. We'll have a good time. And then Sunday night, we have our luminary hike as well. All right? And then let me say this too. As Christmas is coming, just start thinking. Everybody start thinking. If you don't have plans for Christmas, like Christmas Eve, I want you to be here. Okay? We're going to have a special service here. If you don't have any family or friends you want to hang out with, or you can't hang out with, I want you to come talk to me. And some of the people in this room said they'll open up their house. And I want you to have Christmas dinner with some good people. Okay? So if you got a weird Uncle Billy that you don't want to be with, then don't be with them. Talk to me, and I want you to be around some good people because I don't want you to get in trouble this season. All right? And same for New Year's. Don't get in trouble. Be with some good people. Okay. Who's our group leaders tonight? If you're a group leader, stand up tonight. Who do we got tonight? We got Mr. Brennan tonight. We have Mr. Larry, Mr. Jordan, Miss Amy, and Miss Tabby. Okay. We always start over that side. Brennan, you're going to go upstairs. So Brennan's group goes upstairs. Larry, are you and Jordan together tonight? Okay, so if you're a new guy, you could either go with Team Larry Jordan, Lair Jordan, Lairdan, there you go, or Team Brendan. Okay, so you're going upstairs. You guys are going to the lobby. Where are you going, Amy? Okay, so if you're a woman, if you're a woman, period, you're going to go with these two ladies down the hallway to the right, down the hallway teal room to the right. Let's be done at 9. Tabby, do we have some refreshments tonight? Do you know what we got going? Okay, I thought he said we're doing pizza, but I don't know because I saw the ovens on, so I think they're doing some. Yeah, you never have enough pizza. Okay, but that's just free, just to hang out and let's talk afterwards. And I'd be available at 9 o'clock to talk if you want to talk. Okay, so everybody stand up, and everybody, you either go, if you're a guy, go with Larry and Jordan. What? What's that? Bee Sting Bob. Are you? Is that where you're going? All right. And if you ladies, go with the ladies. All right. Very good. You're dismissed. See you at 9 o'clock.